What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my full card breakdown and prediction video for UFC Kansas City. We have Ian Machado Garry going against Carlos Prates, and we are back after a 1-week break. And I'll be honest with you guys, the 1-week break was very well needed. We kick off the year with a 12-week stretch. And of course, as you guys may or may not know, I did go to UFC 314 in Miami. And yeah, I mean, it was a great trip, successful trip. I crossed all three things off my list. You know, number one, some good fights, right? Check. Number two, a winning night, winning event. Check. Number three, big booty Latinas. Check. So yeah, great trip. But as you guys have probably heard before, anytime I step on a plane, I don't know what it is with planes and me, I get sick. I get very sick. Every single time. You know, I even took extra precautions. You know, I took, extra vitamin C, brought the hand sanitizer, still got sick, came down with the norovirus, and the next week after Miami was very brutal, but I am starting to feel better, and I'm looking forward to breaking down some fights. And we have a good card. UFC Kansas City, a 14-fight card. I cannot wait to get into it. Before we do so, as always, if you guys could do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment. All three of those things go a very long way. If you want to support me more, the best way to do so and the best way to get more content is to check out DFS by the Numbers. There you'll find all my early betting alerts, my stats, my Discord, Hail Mary parlays. I got my best bet article with breaking down all the fights, the confidence rating, the best bet for each and every fight on the card. Just a ton of content on dfsbythenumbers.com. We have Contender Series coming up in a couple months. That'll all be on there, and I'm looking forward to adding some new things, whether that's on the Discord, on the website. In the next couple weeks, I have some big plans for the website there. So check it out, all on dfsbythenumbers.com. And we do have to announce the winner for the significant strike contest we did for UFC 314, and shout out to You Should Pay Attention 2635, and maybe we should pay attention because this was one hell of a guess. The correct answer between Volk and Lopez for significant strikes was 221. You Should Pay Attention guessed 222. There were actually two people that commented 222. The first one, though, was You Should Pay Attention. So You Should Pay Attention. Hit me up on Twitter or Instagram with your PayPal or Cash App. I will get you your winnings, sir. Did not quite get it on the dot, but you were the closest and you won. So shout out to you. All right. With all that out of the way, guys, I see we get into it. We have a lot to talk about. We're going to kick it off with the first fight of the card, and we have Joselyne Edwards going against Chelsea Chandler. We have Joselyne Edwards, 29 years old, 5'8" with a 70-inch reach, 14-6 and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Chelsea Chandler, 34 years old, 5'8" with a 68-inch reach, 6-3 and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds. We have Joselyne Edwards opening up minus 225. She is currently sitting as a minus 285 favorite. As far as Chelsea Chandler, she opened up plus 190. She is currently sitting as a plus 245 underdog. And by default, I'm going to be taking Joselyne Edwards here because I will never, ever take Chelsea Chandler to win a fight unless she gets rebooked against Julia Stoliarenko again, but that's not going to happen. And yeah, I mean, this should be Edwards. I guess the only concern I have for Edwards is she does get taken down quite a bit, but I do think she's improving, that area of her game. She looks to be improving that takedown defense, the get-up game, the ground game in general. But yeah, we have seen her taken down a few times by, fighters like Lucy Pudilova. Wasn't the best look. Jessica Rose Clark took her down a million times. Same with Carol Hoza. And yeah, maybe Chelsea Chandler can get some takedowns here or there. But I do think Edwards, stuffs the takedowns, keeps it on the feet. And when this fight is on the feet, when this fight is standing, it's going to pretty much be one-way traffic. Chelsea Chandler kind of a walking punching bag. And Joselyne Edwards is actually a pretty good striker. So I got to go Edwards here. I am curious to see, if these fighters will potentially miss weight, either one of them, because I believe Joselyne Edwards has missed weight in the UFC 3 times. I think maybe in her last 3 or 4 fights, 3 times she's missed weight, and Chelsea Chandler has missed weight a couple times as well. So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, what's not going to be interesting is this fight. I think it's probably going to go to decision. So yeah, give me Joselyne Edwards to win this fight and win it by decision. Moving on, we have Roberto Romero going against Timmy Cuamba. We have Roberto Romero, 25 years old, 5'8" with a 70-inch reach, 8-4-1 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Timmy Cuamba, 26 years old, 5'9" with a 71-inch reach, 8-3 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. We have Romero opening up plus 140. He's currently minus 110. Timmy Cuamba opened up minus 160, currently minus 110. We have a couple pick'em fights on this card, and this is the first of which. And yeah, I think a pick'em for this fight definitely makes sense because, on one hand, we have Cuamba, who I think is probably the more skilled fighter, and Romero's a guy, he's just one of those guys where, where he lacks with the skills, he kind of makes up with it with just being a dog. This is a guy in Romero where he's just going to come forward. He's just going to come forward the entire time. He's going to push you against the cage. He's going to make it gritty. And that debut against David Onama was very impressive, in a loss. He came in on probably 2 or 3 days short notice. David Onama was like minus 1,000. Everybody expected Onama to finish this guy in the first round, and Romero had a ton of success early on, right? He hurt Onama, was close to getting Onama out of there, I thought, but he did slow down as the fight went on, which is to be expected taking a fight on 2 or 3 days' notice. So, yeah, I think Romero's going to just do more here. I think that's the problem with Cuamba. Where he has those skills, he just doesn't have that urgency. Kind of looks like he's going in there to spar. This guy won on the Contender Series, barely. I'm not even convinced he won, and Dana White didn't sign him for that reason. It was a close fight where he just didn't go out there and try to finish his opponent. He just didn't show really any urgency whatsoever, and that's translated to his first UFC fights, and I think that'll translate here. So just give me Romero to have a little bit more dog in him, a little bit more urgency, and but should be a very close fight, I think. But give me Romero to win this fight by decision. Next up, we have Jaqueline Amorim going against Polyana Viana. We have Jaqueline Amorim, 29 years old, 5'3", with a 68-inch reach, 9-1. And 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Polyana Viana, 32 years old, 5'5", with a 67-inch reach. She is 13-7 and 2-3 in her last 5 fights. Amorim opened up minus 250. That line is completely blown out to minus 650. And as far as Polyana Viana, she opened up plus 210, and she is currently sitting as a plus 475 underdog. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Polyana Viana, her takedown defense is sitting at 38%, and that's going to be a serious problem going against Jaqueline Amorim, who's just a high-level BJJ black belt. She's taking these fighters down. She's getting submission. She submitted Corey McKenna. Submitting Corey McKenna, say what you want about McKenna, that's not easy to do. Submitting Vanessa Demopoulos, whether she cheated or not, that's not easy to do whatsoever, right? And she made it look easy against both those fighters. And Polyana Viana, we've just seen terrible looks on the mat from her. Jillian Robertson took her down and pounded her out. Yasmin Lucindo took her down in that second round, got to the arm triangle and instantly finished it. It was a very bad look. Polyana Viana, I just don't think she's great off her back, and I don't think she has the takedown defense to keep it upright, which she will need to do here. So I think there's a reason this line's getting blown out, and I just see Amorim taking down Polyana Viana, getting on top, and snatching up a neck, snatching up an arm, snatching up something. Give me Amorim to win this fight by first round submission. Moving on to the next fight, it is Malcolm Wellmaker going against Cameron Saaiman. We have Malcolm Wellmaker, 30 years old, 5'10", with a 71.5-inch reach, 8-0 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Cameron Saaiman, he is 24 years old, 5'8", with a 67-inch reach. He is 9-2 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Wellmaker opened up plus 120. He is currently minus 115. Saaiman opened up minus 150. He is currently sitting as a minus 105 type pick'em. So, about a pick'em here, minus 115, minus 105 for Saaiman here. And it's an interesting fight because with Saaiman, this guy's, fought the better competition. He lost to Peyton Talbot, no shame in that. Lost to Christian Rodriguez, no shame in that. But you look at his wins and it's like, Terrence Mitchell, right? That's a trash win. That's a horrible win. Terrence Mitchell's probably the least durable fighter in UFC history, and we're talking about a card this weekend that has Matt Schnell and Jimmy Flick. Terrence Mitchell is just no durable. That guy got knocked out by Raul Rosas Jr. How does that even happen? So beating Terrence Mitchell, it just tells me nothing. Beating Mana Martinez, who got cut, just tells me nothing. Beating Steven Kozlov, who fought once in the UFC, and we haven't seen him since. It just tells me nothing. So the losses are against good fighters. The wins are against like the bottom of the barrel. So I'm just not really sure where Cameron Saaiman is really at, right? And, Malcolm Wellmaker, this is a guy I remember taping for the Contender Series. I remember watching this guy and thinking, geez, this guy looks like a veteran of the sport. It was like his second or third fight, and I'm watching this guy, and it's like, this guy looks cool, calm, collected, not making a ton of mistakes. Typically when you're watching a guy's first, second, or third fight, you're being like, maybe he's a little bit green. No, he doesn't look green at all. And I think a lot of that has to do with an extensive amateur background. Apparently this guy has, I think I saw like 10, 11, 12 amateur fights. And yeah, Malcolm Wellmaker, I think this guy's the real deal. And yeah, went out there on the Contender Series and had a very good knockout win, kind of a walkout knockout against Adam Bromhold, who's not bad in his own right. So it's a tough fight because I feel like people might be a little bit low on Cameron Saaiman after his last two losses, but at the same time, Cameron Saaiman is very hittable, 51% strike and defense. He's there to be hit. The chin, I think is still good. That Talbot fight wasn't the best look, but again, that's Peyton Talbot. Malcolm Wellmaker does hit very hard though, and he's very accurate. I kind of see Wellmaker just touching the chin of Saaiman here, potentially even putting him out. So yeah, I'm leaning Wellmaker here. I'll take Wellmaker to win this fight by second round knockout, but I don't want to completely write off Cameron Saaiman because he is on a 2-fight skid, but a 2-fight skid against very, very good competition. And this is going to be Malcolm Wellmaker's toughest test by a decent margin, I say. But I will still go Wellmaker. I'll take Wellmaker to win by second round knockout. Moving on to the next fight. It is Damon Blackshear going against Alateng Heili. We got Damon Blackshear, who is 30 years old, 5'10" with a 72-inch reach. He is 16-7-1 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. As far as Alateng Heili, he is 33 years old, 5'5" with a 66.5-inch reach, 17-9-2 and 3-1-1 in his last 5 fights. And yeah, Blackshear just fought less than 30 days ago, and that fight, it was weird, right? Like, I was very high on Blackshear. I had him in a parlay. I had him to win by submission, and this guy was getting the brakes beat off of him in the first round against Cody Gibson. I mean, Cody Gibson outlanded him 30-6 in the very first round. It was just a bad look. I don't know if Blackshear, it took him a second to wake up or what, but I didn't like that. But once he got, in top position, we saw just how good, how dangerous Damon Blackshear is, right? And in this fight, it's like on the feet, he's not going to have to really worry about Alateng Heili. Like, Alateng Heili has some power, but this guy has no volume. He just doesn't throw anything. Alateng Heili has some wrestling, but he doesn't really go to it all that much. And if he does go to it here, I think that would be a mistake against Damon Blackshear, who's just, I have a feeling, is just levels and levels and levels in terms of the grappling. So I think it's kind of pick your poison for Alateng Heili. Do you want to stand on the feet and get outpointed across 15 minutes by Blackshear, or is this fight going to hit the mat, whether it's Alateng Heili going for takedowns or whether that's Damon Blackshear getting a takedown? And if that happens, if this fight hits the ground and Damon Blackshear gets on top at some point, I just have a feeling the fight's going to be over shortly after. I think there's going to be a massive, massive gap in terms of the skill once this fight hits the ground. So I like Blackshear here. I like him quite a bit. I think this guy's actually really good. I have always thought that Blackshear has been very underrated because of his record. This guy has 7 losses, but a lot of those losses are against very good competition, both in and outside the UFC. So yeah, should be Blackshear. I'll take him to win this fight by second round submission. Next up, we have Chris Gutierrez going against John Castaneda. We got Chris Gutierrez, 34 years old, 5'9" with a 67-inch reach, 21-5-2 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. John Castaneda, 33 years old, 5'6" with a 71-inch reach, 21-7 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Chris Gutierrez opened up -110, currently -140. John Castaneda opened up -110. He is currently a +120 underdog, and this is a rebooking ×2, I think. I mean, I could have swore these two were supposed to fight. The fight got canceled. These two were supposed to fight again. The fight got canceled again, and now we're talking about it again. Like, it's annoying. Like this, I could care less about this fight, to be honest. The first time it was booked, it's like, I don't really care for it. Like, I don't really care for any Chris Gutierrez fights. I mean, Chris Gutierrez is a guy that, I think he's skilled, but just looks like he's, I don't know, sparring out there. Just his fights are typically not exciting, and he'll win a lot of fights, but he'll win them on very thin margins. Like, he'll go to split decisions with guys he shouldn't be going to split decisions with, close fights with guys he shouldn't be going to close fights with, and that's kind of how I see it happening here. If this fight even happens, like, these two are bantamweights, they had to actually move the fight up to featherweight just so this fight could happen. I think it's more so on the John Castaneda side in terms of this guy's just having trouble getting to the cage. I think both times these fights were canceled was because of the John Castaneda side. So now they're fighting at featherweight, and if this fight happens, I'll take Gutierrez. I'll take Gutierrez to do the better work on the feet. I love the leg kicks, but I do think it'll be close. It's a Chris Gutierrez fight. He's not going to go out there and starch anybody for the most part. He's not going to go out there and win a 30-27. It's going to be competitive, but I do think he'll do the better work. Give me Chris Gutierrez by a competitive decision. The line at -140, it makes a ton of sense to me. Next up, we have an Evan Elder going against Gage Young. We got Evan Elder, 28 years old, 5'10" with a 71-inch reach, 9-2 and 3-2. In his last 5 fights. Gage Young, 24 years old, 5'9" with a 70-inch reach, 9-2 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds. We have Evan Elder opening up -230, currently -225. Gage Young opening up +195, and he is currently +190. So, yeah, this is a very interesting fight because Gage Young has taken this fight on very short notice. Evan Elder was already preparing for a fight against Ahmed Hazansada, who got cut and arrested and will no longer be in the UFC. And Young is stepping in here, and I think the reason that is because Young is going to actually be the hometown guy. And I'm not sure how many people on this card are from Missouri, but Young is, so he's going to be one of the few, if any, that I saw. And yeah, I think these two are, I feel like they're kind of well matched, but Young is taking this fight on very short notice. I don't like that, whether he was preparing for a fight in a couple weeks or not. I just don't like that. Evan Elder's been here before. I think that heavily favors Evan Elder. Like, Gage Young's going to be making his debut in front of like a hometown crowd. The UFC jitters are a thing. We've seen it time and time again. So Evan Elder's been there against good competition, and Evan Elder's a really good fighter. A very good fighter. I went back and watched some of this guy's fights, and he's going out there and outstriking guys like Nazim Sadikov. Like, that was a great performance, and I think Sadikov maybe landed a knee and there was a cut stoppage, but up until then, like, Evan Elder was getting the better of the striking exchanges against Nazim Sadikov, a very, very good fighter and high-level striker. Went out there and won cleanly against a dangerous guy in Gennaro Valdez, and, of course, took care of Darius Flowers, who shouldn't be there. But yeah, Evan Elder is a very good fighter, and he's young in his own right. Both these guys are very young. Both these guys still have a ton of room for improvements, but Evan Elder's been there. He's fought the much better competition. Gage Young, his best opponent was Quinlan Selkild, and he went out there and he competed. Clearly lost the fight, but he competed. He had his moments. Selkild was able to take him down like 9-10 times, but Gage Young was able to pop back up. I just think on the feet, I like Elder striking a little bit more, and I wouldn't be surprised if Elder was mixing in takedowns here and there. I like the grappling of Elder if he's able to get it there, and then I also like the fact that he's been on a full camp. He's been preparing to be on this card in Kansas City, so I'll take Evan Elder. I just don't like the line though. Like, I feel like these two, skill wise, I feel like they're pretty close. I just like the fact that Elder's been there, fought the better guys, has had that full camp. So I'll pick Elder. I'll take Elder to win this fight by decision, but I think it should be a fun and competitive fight. Moving on to the People's main event. It is Matt Schnell going against Jimmy Flick. We got Matt Schnell, 35 years old, 5'8", with a 70-inch reach. He is 16-9 and 1-4 in his last 5 fights. Jimmy Flick, he is 34 years old, 5'7" with a 68-inch reach. He is 17-8 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. And no, this is not a joke. This is not a mistake. Matt Schnell opened up -325. He's currently -305. Jimmy Flick opened up +275. He is currently +255. And I'm shocked. I'm shocked at these odds. When I first saw them, it's like Matt Schnell's -300. I don't know. Like, has this guy woken up yet? Is he up right now? I'm not sure. But I think a reason that he is such a big favorite is because he's going against Jimmy Flick, and I think the general narrative on Jimmy Flick is, that Jimmy Flick sucks. And yeah, maybe a little bit, but geez, Matt Schnell, this guy just has no chin, no chin whatsoever. This guy retired after his last fight. He got submitted by Cody Durden and hung up the gloves, and apparently he's retiring after this fight is what I'm hearing. So he retired and he's like, okay, let me get one more, and then now he's gonna retire after this fight. Like, what? Like, I don't know where Matt Schnell's head's at. On the flip side, you have Jimmy Flick. Like, Flick's retired 5 times in his own right. So this is just a wild fight, a fight full of violence, a fight full of variance. But one guy's minus 300, and I can't trust Matt Schnell anywhere near minus 300. Like, he doesn't have a chin. I don't think he has the best submission defense. Like, this guy's been tapped out 3 times. Like, what happens if Jimmy Flick gets a takedown, which shouldn't be hard because Matt Schnell has terrible takedown defense? Matt Schnell probably taps out. So I'm gonna take Jimmy Flick. Like, a lot of people are taking Matt Schnell by knockout. Like, who has Matt Schnell knocked out in the UFC? And the answer to that is absolutely nobody. Matt Schnell's not knocked out anybody in a very, very long time. Is he going to knock out Jimmy Flick? Maybe. But I don't know. I kind of feel like this fight hits the ground, and if it does, Jimmy Flick's the better submission grappler. Like, this guy has 17 wins, 16 of them by submission, 15 of them by submission. So I'm going to take Jimmy Flick to win this fight, but it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. It should be hilarious to watch. I don't know if I'll have any money on this fight. We'll see, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting, and I think somebody's going to be getting served. But I'll take Jimmy Flick to tap out Matt Schnell and retire him once again. So yeah, give me Jimmy Flick by first round submission. Next up, we have Ikram Aliskerov going against Andre Muniz. We got Aliskerov, 32 years old, 6 foot, with a 76-inch reach, 15-2, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Andre Muniz, 35 years old, 6'1" with a 78-inch reach. He is 24-6 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds, and we have Aliskerov opening up minus 700. He is currently minus 655. Andre Muniz opened up plus 525, and this is currently plus 480. So this is another rebooking. We were supposed to see this fight a couple months ago, and there were problems on the Muniz side. I think he had visa issues. And so this fight is going to happen here in Kansas City, and my prediction, the first time these two were supposed to meet a couple months ago was Ikram Aliskerov, and that prediction is going to stay the same. Andre Muniz, I question his heart, I question his cardio, I question his durability. This guy Muniz has been finishing all 6 of his losses, 5 by knockout, and Aliskerov's just one of these guys that just seems to have the death touch. He took a big step up in competition against Robert Whittaker. He lost to Robert Whittaker, and there's no shame in that. Like, Robert Whittaker's a high-level fighter. Andre Muniz, I just don't think he is. This guy, Andre Muniz, got knocked out by Paul Craig. Like, how does that even happen? I don't know. But yeah, give me Ikram Aliskerov to win by first round knockout. Prediction remains the same as it was when these two were supposed to fight a couple months ago. Up next, we have Randy Brown going against Nicolas Dalby. Randy Brown, 34 years old, 6'3" with a 78-inch reach, 19-6, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Nicolas Dalby, 40 years old, 5'11", with a 74.5-inch reach, 23-5-1, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Randy Brown opened up minus 225. He's currently minus 230. Dalby opened up plus 195. He's currently plus 190. And yeah, not a ton of interest in this fight. It kind of just feels like your typical, Randy Brown decision, kind of using that length, that range. This guy's the younger guy by 6 years. Dalby's getting up there, 40, almost 41 years old. I do think Dalby still has some left in the tank, but in terms of this matchup, I think the big cage definitely does favor Brown, and I think Brown's going to kind of pick him apart over the course of 3 rounds. The only thing that I will say about Randy Brown, this is a guy you don't typically want to lay, minus 2 anything on. Like, I remember laying minus 250 on Randy Brown against, who was it? Another 40-year-old, Francisco Trinaldo, and it's like he made that fight just way too close. I did not feel great about that fight when it went to the scorecards. He did win the fight, but it's like, geez, come on, Randy Brown, let's Let's make it a little bit more convincing. So I do think this fight could play out a lot closer than this line does indicate, but at the same time, I got to go with the younger guy, the bigger guy, and Randy Brown. Use that range length and kind of pick apart Dalby over the course of 15. So Brown and Brown by decision. Up next, we got Michel Pereira going against Abus Magomedov. We got Michel Pereira, 31 years old, 6'1", with a 73-inch reach. He has 31-12 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Abus Magomedov, he is 34 years old, 6'2", with a 78-inch reach. He is 27-6-1 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. We got Michel Pereira opening up -145. He's currently -135. Abus Magomedov opened up +125, and he is currently +115. And yeah, this is a very interesting fight, right? Like, Michel Pereira was on top of the world for a second. Like, this guy was on a 7-8 fight win streak prior to the Fluffy Hernandez fight, and he went out there and quite frankly got embarrassed. He got embarrassed by Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, but I'm here to tell you that Anthony Fluffy Hernandez would do the same exact thing to Abus Magomedov, if not worse. Like, I completely throw that fight out the window because Anthony Fluffy Hernandez is just a completely different animal than the majority of guys in the division, but a completely different animal compared to Abus Magomedov, who's just a complete gas bag, right? So, yeah, I mean, people are going to look at the Fluffy fight and say, oh, Pereira got taken down 10 times, Abus is going to wrestle. I don't really see that maybe Abus can get takedowns here or there, but I don't think he has the cardio to do it. Like, I bet on Abus in his last fight against Bruno Ferreira, and the first round was great. Like, nothing happened. Abus was able to outpoint Ferreira in the first round, outlanded him 14-2. Like, Ferreira didn't do anything, but in the second round, the second round started, and it was like a very slow-paced first round. The second round started, you look at Abus, and his mouth was wide open. He looks exhausted after nothing happened in the first round, and Ferreira starts cracking the dude, forcing Abus to panic wrestle, and almost got finished. And luckily Ferreira had never been to a third round up until that point, and Abus was able to capitalize and get a late finish. But yeah, I mean, I think Abus slows down in a lot of fights. I think Pereira, although doesn't have the best cardio in his own right, I think Pereira's going to have the better cardio. I think Pereira has the much better durability. Like, this guy lasted 4.5 rounds with Anthony Hernandez, 12 losses. I think Pereira has only been knocked out twice, and once was that the Fluffy fight in the 5th round. So whereas Abus Magomedov, he slows down after 5 minutes. He's been finished 4 times. He's been hurt a lot. I think it's Pereira. I think Pereira gets back on track here. I think he can win by any method. I think it could be an early knockout, or I think this fight can potentially get extended, and I think we could see Magomedov start to slow down like he did against Sean Strickland, like he did against Kyle Bahayo. I don't trust the gas tank or the durability of Abus. So give me Michel Pereira to get back on track. I'll take Pereira to win this fight. I'll say he wins it by knockout. I'll say he hurts Abus at some point in this fight. I'll say second round knockout for Michel Pereira. Up next, we have David Onama going against Giga Chikadze. We got David Onama, 30 years old, 5'11", with a 74-inch reach, 13-2 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Giga Chikadze, 36 years old, 6 foot, with a 74-inch reach, 15-4 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. David Onama opened up -140. He's currently -190. Giga opened up +120. He's currently +165. And yeah, this is a tough fight for me because it would make it so much easier as fans, as bettors, as predictors, if we knew the game plan of fighters, right? Like, it's hard to figure out which path is fighter A going to take, fighter B going to take. And what I want to know is, what is the game plan for David Onama? Is David Onama going to go out there and strike with Giga Chikadze for 15 minutes? If the answer to that is yes, this line's completely off. This line is completely off, and Giga Chikadze is a very, very live underdog. If David Onama grapples, this line probably isn't wide enough, and that's the problem I have with this fight. That's the problem I've always had with Giga Chikadze. I've been waiting for somebody to grapple this guy. For the love of God, somebody take this guy down. Somebody take down Giga Chikadze. I've been waiting for it ever since Austin Springer just went through him on the mat. Austin Springer took him down, controlled him in every single round, and submitted him in the third. I've been waiting for somebody to take him down, and nobody's done it. And a lot of that has to do with the matchmaking. Like, he's fighting a lot of strikers. Arnold Allen, striker. Caceres, striker. Cater, striker. Barbosa, striker. Cub Swanson, striker. Jamie Simmons. Who the hell is Jamie Simmons? What the hell is he? What the hell is Jamie Simmons? I guess he's a striker. Omar Morales, striker. Erno Rivera, striker. The matchmaking, just a bunch of strikers. But I've been waiting for somebody to try to take him down. Like even Calvin Cater, who's a striker, took down Giga easily. And we saw once Giga was on his back, he had nothing on his back. And if David Onama takes down Giga and gets on top, he's probably going to finish the fight, especially if it's later in the fight and Giga's tired. So, man, it's tough. I would like to know the game plan of Onama. I'm going to assume he's going to fight smart and get this fight down to the ground. And if he does, Onama's ground game is very good. And I think he's going to be a lot better on the ground than Giga. But if he strikes with Giga for 15 minutes, Giga's probably going to win. He's probably going to win. I think Giga's the much better striker, a lot more tools. Onama's very hittable, eats punches with his face. But I'll say Onama does get takedowns, gets into a dominant position, wears on Giga, and finds a submission. And give me David Onama to win this fight by second round, a submission. One of the better fights on the card here. In my opinion, this fight should probably be the co-main event, but instead they wanted to put a murder as the co-main event for some reason. I don't know. But David Onama, second round submission. This video is brought to you by Prize Picks, guys. If you guys have not checked out Prize Picks, right now is a great time to do so and use that code DFSBTN. And if you use that code DFSBTN, you'll get $50 instantly into your account when you place your first $5 lineup. Whether you win your lineup or lose your lineup, if you use that code DFSBTN, you'll get $50 free dollars. Check it out, guys. It helps you, helps me. 50 free bucks. Go check it out on Prize Picks. Now, getting to the co-main event, which is a sanctioned murder. We got Zhang Mingyang going against Anthony Smith. We got Zhang Mingyang, 26 years old, 6'2", with a 75-inch reach, 18-6, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Anthony Smith, 36 years old, 6'4", with a 76-inch reach. He has 37-21 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Zhang Mingyang opened at minus 550. He's currently minus 525. Anthony Smith opened up plus 400. He is currently He opened up plus 420. No, he opened up plus 400. He's currently plus 400. Okay. So this is an interesting fight because, like, if Anthony Smith had anything left in the tank, like he could beat Zhang Mingyang. Like, Zhang Mingyang, I'm just not sold on. Like, if you have a loss to Askar Mozharov, the biggest fraud in UFC history, the guy that, you know, when he first, on that fight week, his record was like 27-5. His record currently is like 15-14. A guy that has 3 different names. If you lose to Askar Mozharov, and I don't care when it was, it could have been 30 years ago. If you lose to Askar Mozharov, you know, I'm just not sold on you. I'm absolutely not. But he was going against Anthony Smith, right? Who Anthony Smith, I just don't think he has anything left in the tank, not anything at all, right? And I just don't like how he reacts to punches. And when I think about this fight and play out in my head, I see Zhang Mingyang, who's a big dude, has a ton of power. I see him landing a big shot, and once he lands that big shot, Anthony Smith's going to topple over. He's going to shell up. He's going to turtle up, and the refs either going to let Anthony Smith proceed to eat 300 plus significant strikes on the ground, or the ref is going to save Anthony Smith and stop the fight. So give me Zhang Mingyang to win this fight by first round knockout. But although I joke and say it's a sanctioned murder, like Anthony Smith, I don't know. I think it wouldn't shock me if Anthony Smith just pulled one last thing out of his hat, because that's what Anthony Smith's been doing for a while. You know, I've counted out Anthony Smith since this dude was like 31. When he was 31, I was like, I think Anthony Smith's on his way out, and he'll just pull things out of his hat here and there. And it would not surprise me if a guy that lost to Askar Mozharov, a guy that's been finished 5 times by bums, pulled a stunt here at minus 525. But I think Anthony Smith's done. So yeah, give me Zhang Mingyang by first round knockout. insane fight, just a wild fight. All right, moving on to the main event. Before we do so, if you guys could, leave me a comment. The comments help. The comments help the algorithm. Whether it's a nice comment, which I'd prefer, but if you need to leave a mean one, I mean it's better than nothing, I guess. But yeah, just leave me any comment. It is much appreciated, guys. Thank you for the support. Ian Garry going against Carlos Prates. We got Ian Garry, 27 years old, 6'3", with a 74.5-inch reach, 15-1. And 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Carlos Prates, 31 years old, 6'1", with a 78-inch reach, 21-6, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. And by the way, look at that Prates photo. Look at him smoking those cigarettes. What do you say? 15 cigarettes a day for Carlos Prates. Just what a photo there. We got Garry opened up plus 110, currently minus 130. Carlos Prates opened up minus 130, currently plus 110. So a couple things here for me. The first thing is, it's not wise to bet against the fighting nerds. The fighting nerds, they post this graphic, right? And the graphic is, the top 4 fighting nerds, right? The Carlos Prates, Gene Silva, Mauricio Hufi, forget the other one, but Kyle Baja, right? The top 4. They're undefeated, combined 19-0, and people will get mad and say, Bruna Brazil, she's a fighting nerd and she sucks. But no, I'm talking about the top 4. The Prates, Gene Silva, Hufi, and Kyle Baja. It's just not wise to bet against them, because not only will you lose those bets, but you'll lose them in spectacular fashion every single time. I have picked against Prates in the past. It's not fun. It's not fun. I've picked against Gene Silva in the past. It is not fun to pick against that madman. And I just can't pick against any of these fighting nerds anytime soon. So right off the bat, I got to go Carlos Prates. With that said, though, there are some reasons to like Garry. Like, Garry's fought some very good competition in the UFC. Garry's a very high-level striker. He's been working on that grappling, training with, Charles Oliveira, and we've seen him take down MVP, have success. We saw him, get Shavkat down at some point in their fight and, have some success, almost get the submission. But, this is a fight where the one knock on Ian Garry that I've always had is the strike and defense. So kind of back up, chin up in the air, hands down, and it's costed him. It caught him in the Jordan Williams fight. Like, Jordan Williams was teeing off on Ian Garry, landed some big shots. It caught him in the Song Kanan fight. Song Kanan sat him down. And I just kind of think it happens here. Carlos Prates is a very long, very rangy guy, very long reach, and he uses every inch of that 78-inch reach. And what I like about Prates is not only the power, but the accuracy. He's going to find that chin, I think, at some point of Ian Garry. Garry probably, I would imagine, I think a lot of people are thinking that Garry's going to try to grapple here. But I don't know. We haven't really seen Prates off his back in a very long time. It's been, I think, 6 years since we've seen him off his back, and it wasn't the best look, but you can improve a lot. You can improve a lot, especially training with some really good guys at the Fighting Nerds gym. And ever since then, we have seen his take defense look a lot better. It looks, hard to take down, and this guy's a black belt, Prates in his own right. So, yeah, I just think at some point, Prates is going to land a big shot on the chin of Ian Garry and put him out. 25 minutes. He has 25 minutes to touch the chin of Garry, but I think he only needs about 5 to 7.5. I think it's a Carlos Prates. I'll say second round knockout for Carlos Prates here, in what should be a phenomenal main event. All right, guys, there you have it. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys are still sticking around and made it to the end, if you guys could do me a favor, on your way out, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment. If you guys want more content from me, check out dfsbythenumbers.com. I'm sure you'll find all my bets, my bet write-ups, my articles, my stats, Discord, all that. Check it out at dfsbythenumbers.com. And be on the lookout for more content throughout the week. Turn on the post notification bell so you not miss out on that. And yeah, guys, best of luck for UFC Kansas City, and we'll see you guys soon. Peace.